I just don't think that Alondria and Nick is really eliminated. And I'm saying this because when they first went to Casa Amor, Ariana was like, everybody is returning back to a villa. So it looks as though they might still have a chance, unfortunately, because I really, really, really want Ace and Nick out of here. This is Rain Said That, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell. It's finally time for Casa Amor, and I'm still sad that Jeremiah and Hannah is not able to see it, but you know, life goes on. Now, if I'm going to rate the new girls that's coming in, I'm going to rate Coco for number 1, Gracie for number 2, and that private investigator girl at number 3, Clark at number 4, and Vanna at number 5, because she just had a lot of work done on her face and she's only 21 years old and she kind of looks a bit older. Now, I really don't like all the kissing challenge because I just feel like it's gross, going down the line and kissing everybody, like yuck. But as you can tell, that nobody really was feeling TJ because he was giving them an honest answer. He was basically telling them that their kisses was quite mid, but I feel like that he's right because no one was talking about being interested in him in the first place. So everyone's mad because he's being honest about it. I feel like this go around, the Casa boys actually look kind of good. I would say that there's probably, you know, 1 or 2 good looking ones for my personal preference, but I'm very happy for Shelly because I feel as though, like, the thing about Ace is that he already knew her beforehand and he still had her like waiting 4 weeks just to couple up with her. But then when he came down to Chris, he already knew exactly who he wanted. So I did like that. Now, Huda is matching up with some guy named DJ or something like that, and he just makes my head hurt because I don't understand anything that he's saying. So Shelly is still a hot commodity even in the Amor house because she has 2 guys that want her, but she decided to pick Chris. Alondria ended up matching with Zach from Canada, you know, the one that looks like a scammer to me. He gave me like scammer vibes. Like, y'all gotta be careful with those Canadian boys, okay? Because, you know, like he said, he's a bad man. So Shelly is definitely digging Chris, and I do like their vibes. I feel like that his intentions are good and pure, unlike Ace, because I told you guys before that he's using Shelly to win at $100,000. So yeah. So Amaya is left single. You know, people are not trying to couple up with her. They're kind of still avoiding her. So she literally has 24 hours to find a match, or she has to go right back home. So I feel bad for the girl. You know, desperate times calls for desperate measures because she was actually being very desperate. But the thing about Zach is that he liked desperate women. He was like, I love women put in effort. He loved being chased. So I feel like that's just right up his alley. Now, Adrena surely does move on fast. But again, Jeremiah is out the door, so she really doesn't have a choice. The guy that she's coupled up with, I don't really like him as a match for her. I feel as though he just chose her because she's safe. She doesn't really have a couple, so he don't really have to fight with nobody to get her. So I think that's what he likes. Now, I love this private investigator girl because Nick actually thought that his manipulation was going to work, and obviously it did not, because you can't trick her. I'm not even going to lie, I thought he had her in the bag, but honestly it just looks like that she was just playing along with him, but she was really not playing him seriously. Now, Sierra is talking to the new guy, Elon, and I do feel like they have a lot of things in common. You know, I feel like they could be a couple, but she's still stuck on Nick because you have to remember that she slept with him. So she's not going to throw that connection, you know, out the door because they did have an intimate moment and they have soul ties in real life. Now, Iris found her match because I already told you guys that Iris is quite boring to me. And the guy that she picked, I don't even remember him coming inside the villa, but it seems as though they are a boring match made in heaven, and I love that for her because you got to find your match. Now, the guy that Huda picked, he just leaves me confused because I don't understand anything that he says. He keeps saying, you know what I'm saying, you feel me? What are you talking about? Like, you're not even having a proper conversation. You're not even speaking like correct English in here. Like, what are you talking about and what are you trying to say? Because I don't know exactly what he's trying to say. Like, nobody does. They need to put like the subtitles on when he's talking, because I'm not sure, about it, but I do feel like JD is a better match for Amaya. Like, both JD and Amaya gives off airhead vibes, and there's nothing wrong with being an airhead, but they just seem like a good match. It's like the same airheadedness that Austin and Amaya has, and I feel like that Huda is basically just forcing this connection. I really don't understand why is Huda still here, because it doesn't make any sense. Now, JD actually does have a conversation with Amaya, and he was just letting her know that, she can be herself. And I do hate this for Amaya, because she feels like she has to explain herself and the things that she do, because everybody's telling her that she's doing everything wrong. So she's basically not being authentic to herself, because basically what Ace did, like Ace literally, kind of chipped at her confidence. And I hate that for her, because she actually is a nice girl. She doesn't have to be so desperate in order to get a match. Now, Vanna and TJ, I am happy for them that he actually found a connection with somebody in the house, because Ace does not like Vanna at all, and I feel like Vanna knows that, and she does like having, stimulated conversation. I was actually glad that she didn't really like Ace. Now, the one thing about Ace is he's going to find a girl that he can benefit off the most and use her for a lifeline, and that's exactly what he did. He had to speak with Coco just in case, because he probably already felt that Vanna was going to jump ship to TJ. So he's always moving strategically. You see that he never not have his hat on, because if he did, the back of his head would literally have a six-pack, because he's always plotting and scheming every single day in the villa. So yeah, he's using Coco as a lifeline just in case Vanna jumps ship. And the thing is about it is that he didn't even tell Taylor, and Taylor's interested in Coco and with Clark. So yeah, he didn't even tell him. So one thing about Ace is that he's going to save himself first, and he'll think about you later. Now, the thing about Zach and Alondria, I like Alondria. She has a lot of self-respect for herself, and Zach like women that chase him, and that's something that Alondria is not going to do, which I feel like Taylor likes the same thing when it comes to women. He likes the women to make the first move. This is why Ace was like, oh, I don't want, Taylor making any, different choices than Alondria, because then he might get kicked out the villa. You can see that Ace, Nick, and Taylor is always plotting, and they're playing strategically at all times. So this is why I was happy that the investigator girl played Nick at his own game, because she can see right through him. And I feel it's like the girls on the island just cannot see through Ace, Taylor, and Nick, but I'm glad to see that girls are catching on. So I feel like there was another reason why the private investigator girl, I think her name is Hannah, that she chose Austin, because he's very predictable and he's very easy to read, and he does look like that he is kind of sort of looking for a connection. So I feel like that she chose him over Nick any day. So Huda is pretty much upset that Amaya is trying to have a conversation with, JD, because, she's trying to save herself from getting eliminated. So she does have to talk to everybody. So I don't even understand why Huda is, making all these faces. I still don't know why she's here. Like, I would not even make her a friend. Like, Huda makes everything about herself. When Jeremiah got eliminated, she was crying and making it about herself. Like, girl, you crying and having your moment, but I'm supposed to be the one that's crying and having a scene right now. This is why I just don't like Huda, and I'm just tired of her at this point. Now, Zach is having his last conversation with Amaya before it's time for elimination, and I feel as though that I already had a quite of an inkling that he was going to pick Amaya, because she did give him a kiss, and Alondria was not going to kiss him at all, because she has standards. I'm not saying that Amaya doesn't have standards. They just have different standards in one another. So, Zach was like, oh, okay, Amaya listens to what I say, but she's not really listening to what you say. She's just trying to stay in the villa, but I think that's enough for him. So Coco's sitting down having a talk with Taylor. She was asking him, how was he feeling with Clark, because in the back of her mind, Ace is there. So the reason that she had that conversation, because she already knew from that last conversation that she wanted to be coupled up with Ace. So she was actually happy to hear that Taylor was happy with Clark. Now it is time for, the elimination, and Amaya sits down with Alondria to let her know that she did have a conversation and shared a kiss with Zach, because she doesn't want her to know that she was being sneaky. And this is where Ace is having his last conversation with Coco. Don't that conversation look familiar? Don't that smile look familiar? He does the same thing with Shelly. I mean, it's just so tired and boring at this point. So now it's time for, the elimination to see, did Amaya get a connection in the next 24 hours, or is she going home? Well, it turns out that, Zach A, is that what they're calling him? Zach A actually ended up standing up to become a new couple with Amaya. This is why he was looking so stressed. That picture took me out. I'm sorry. That picture took me out. But at the end of the day, he stood up for Amaya and he accepted her as being a couple. And this is where Huda started, making a scene. Everybody started fake crying. And Huda is the first person to start fake crying. She couldn't really get those tears out. This is why she's covering up her face. Alondria was just sitting there. She's a strong woman, but she has very good emotional control. And like she said, she's not looking for anybody to be pitying her. The choice was made. But honestly, I feel like her one true friend in the villa is Shelly. Like, Shelly was crying so hard that all of her layers of makeup was coming off, and Zach was sitting there feeling guilty because he feels like that he broke up the sisterhood, which is basically what he did. And Sierra was a little bit sad. She is a friendly type of girl, but I feel like there was a lot of girls sitting there fake crying that really didn't care too much. Amaya couldn't really cry, but she did feel bad that somebody had to go, even though she was fighting for her life, trying to find a connection. So I feel like genuinely she did feel bad because she never wants to see anybody go home. And just like the first fireplace, here comes Huda, want to be crying, want the camera to zoom in for her face so everyone can know that Huda is very devastated about this. Like, I just cannot. So anyways, it's time for the boys. It's time for them to get eliminated. And honestly, I was crossing my fingers, crossing my toes. I even braided my hair in the hopes that Ace get kicked out the island. Like, I wanted him gone so freaking bad. But everybody just keeps saving this man. I really don't understand. But I was so happy that Vanna stood up and left Ace to dry, because honestly, it was the first time that he actually showed emotion on his face that, oh my gosh, she actually did leave. I feel like he was thinking it was a 50-50 choice, but I'm glad that she went with TJ so that he could have a chance. Now, this was the point where, Coco was sitting there like, oh, am I going to save Ace? I already knew that she was going to save him because he already manipulated like she had a chance, when really he's going to pick Shelly at the end of the day because he wants that $100,000. So why are you over here trying to be Captain Save Mojo Jojo? Is going to backfire on you at the end of the day. And this is why Taylor was surprised, because he was not expecting it. You see the face that Ace made, because he's always snaking. Like, I just don't like Ace at this point. But luckily that Taylor did have a lifeline, which was Clark. So Clark actually came up and saved the day. This is why Nick was like, please babe, don't leave me. But you already knew you was going to be left. And everybody pretty much thought that, Hannah, the private investigator girl, was going to actually save him. I mean, I did think that for a second, because he was talking to her, but nobody pretty much threw him a lifeline. And I was so happy because nobody expected it. But I feel as though I already was pretty much knowing that if it did backfire, that she might possibly leave Austin. But the thing is about Hannah is that she's not going to pick Nick, because at the end of the day, he's always going to fall back on Sierra because he's playing a strategic game. So even though he may not really want to be with Sierra for the long term, she still is a person that has the most chance for him to win that money. And they're not throwing that connection away for no reason, because it benefits them. Taylor might, But at the end of the day, if Ace convinces him to stay with Alondria, that is what Taylor's going to do. So I do feel like they did a good job of trying to make things different, to break the alliances. But it still seems as though Ace still has power and control over the villa because he is literally like the head honcho. So everyone was sad that Nick was leaving. I was happy, but then when I seen the ending, I was mad as hell because I'm still trying to get Nick, Ace, and Taylor out the villa. But like I said, hopefully they let Jeremiah come back, but I don't think that's possible. But maybe they can surprise me. So what do you guys think of the Casa boys? Who is top pick for you? Comment down below. What do you guys think of the Casa girls? Comment down below. Who is your top pick? Who you guys think should couple up? I would love to hear from you guys, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.